Now, you have known, you've already testified, you've known him for 42 years. You didn't pay rent at the penthouse, correct?
No, no one did.
Right. Okay. And then after you finished at the penthouse, you went over and lived with him in Sweetser, correct?
I live in one of his house that he owns on Sweetser.
And you still live there?
Yes.
And rent-free, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And has, other than the $100,000, you never paid that back, right? The $100,000 that he's given you?
No, that's not. That's a thing that's a thing for me when how I look at it and stuff. At some point, I would love to pay back some that money, but that's not something that is expected. That's he's expecting.
Would you say you're kind of beholden to Mr. Depp?
No, not beholden at all.
He's given you $100,000. He's put you in that nice.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the whole question. Can you say it again? You
were rent-free in penthouses for a number of years, and now you've been rent-free ever since in Sweetser?
That's a nice friend.
Yeah, okay. And I think you testified already, you're pretty angry with Ms. Heard, right?
When?
I wrote it down that you
about the phony pictures that were taken and put in tabloids, and about the fake narrative, and about and the way she's trying to got a fraudulent DV claim to extort and blackmail a man. Yeah, that kind of got me frustrated, confused, angry, upset. Yes, which is why I said the best thing for us to do is not to talk to each other.
Okay.
Yes.
And was it fair to say you're still angry with her?
Oh, you know something? It's 6 years.
But we just heard you give your version.
Am I angry anymore? I'm not, what I am is tired, and I want this all to end. Her to go heal, him to go heal. So many people have been affected by this malicious lie that she started and she created, and it's gone out the door and around the world. And so I can't even paint anymore. I've stopped painting for the last who knows how many years, and that's affected by stuff. I'm not angry at anybody. I want the best for her to take her responsibility, heal, and move on. And for Johnny, his family has been completely wrecked by all of this stuff, and it's not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch,
how this happened.
And Mr. Baruch, if in fact she's telling the truth, and if in fact Mr. Depp, who has engaged in enormous rage and domestic abuse and violence of Amber over a period of time that you wouldn't know about, then maybe it's time for him to take responsibility, don't you think?
Objection, Your Honor.
What's the objection?
Speculation, lack of foundation, relevance.
Speculation.
He just went off on this rant and rave about assuming that she's...
You asked questions.
I didn't ask a question that launched that.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay,
right, next question.
I'll ask this.
Okay.
Mr. Baruch, you don't know whether Mr. Depp has committed domestic violence of Amber Heard, do you?
I never witnessed. I never saw or witnessed whatever type of claim that is being said, ever. I've
Okay.
never seen him be violent since teenagers from first
I
meeting.
didn't ask you that. I said you don't know whether he has committed domestic violence or abuse on Amber Heard. Isn't that correct?
That's correct. I did
Okay.
not witness any physical
Right.
violence.
But you have seen Mr. Depp use drugs as well as drink and be drunk, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now,
I've
how,
partaken.
I'm going to ask you to take a look. Let's pick up Depp Exhibit number 116 again. It's already in, if we can have that published to the jury.
Ms. Berdhoff, how much more do you think you have?
I think I can finish it up if you give
Okay,
me
sure,
5 or
sure.
10 more
No,
minutes,
that's well.
maybe less.
Okay, all right. I'll
Thank
hold
you.
you to that. Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Bruce, I just want to make sure that I understand. This is the penthouse thing, and you
Ms.
said.
Berdhoff, if you could go to the microphone, it's just hard to hear you.
Yep, I just realized that.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
So on this diagram, when you got out of you said 9:30 today, but in fact, it was between 9:30 and 10 that you came back with your friend, correct?
No, it was around 9:30. It could be 5 minutes one way, 5 minutes the other way. Could have been.
Do you recall saying it was between 9:30 and 10 earlier?
Today?
No.
Did I say that?
Do you recall, are you sure it was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, or could it have been between 9:30 and 10?
It was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes either way.
And you saw a broken sconce.
No,
Correct.
I did not see a broken sconce.
What did you see?
I saw a broken glass on the floor, shards of glass, pieces of glass, which I figured could have been a broken sconce, or possibly maybe something from the fire department stuff that's around the walls. So it could be something broken from that. But maybe one of the sconces broke. I didn't see a broken sconce. I just saw the glass.
Okay, was there typically a sconce right there as you come off the elevator?
Yeah, from my memory, there was sconces on the walls, certain places.
Do you remember looking that night and saying, where did this glass come from? There's a broken one. Did you tie it together?
No, it wasn't. It was an assumption. It had to come from some of those places because what the glass looked like to me looked like it might have come from one of those places. Could
Okay.
have been, maybe the sconce.
Okay, when you said from the fire thing, were you talking about the fire extinguisher? and
No,
the
no,
glass
no,
over
not the fire extinguisher. There was in the hallway, that first hallway that you go through, the doors that you walk through after you get out of the elevator, those doors, they're fire doors that you close. All right, hopefully no one gets burned to death. That would be, crazy. But then along the wall, I believe, by the staircase, because there's a door that's next to penthouse 5, then there's the doorway, the stairwell door, and I believe there's a thing that's by the floor there, that's got a glass plastic thing around it, so it could have been something from that.
Your Honor, may I approach?
All right. Yes, ma'am. Counsel. Do you have another copy of the deposition?
Is this something for me to look at?
Just wait for a question, sir.
I asked you a few minutes ago whether you were sure that it was 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, or if it could have been somewhere between 9:30 and 10. Do you recall me asking that question?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at page 39. Do you recall giving your deposition on November 20, 2019?
Oh, from down in Anaheim?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And were you under
deposition. That's
oath
the
at that
first-
time?
Well, yeah, I
Okay, and
think
that-
that's, I believe so,
It
yeah.
was about 2.5 years ago, wasn't it?
2, 3, like between 2 and 3 years, yeah, sure.
All right, so if you could take a look, starting on page 39.
Hang on a second.
And if you go to the line 21, where were you on the evening of May 21, 2016? And your answer was, all right. So I was out in the street. I was with a buddy of mine, calls me. He asked if I wanted to go out and eat. And I says, I just ate. Just meet me. Let's meet at the apartment. Let's go hang out. So I met him at my apartment probably, I want to say, around 9:30 or a little bit later. I don't know. Yeah, between 9:30 and 10. Do you see that?
So I met him at my apartment, probably I want to say around 9:30 or a little bit later. I don't know, yeah, between 9:30 and 10.
Okay.
And that ends up,
So does that refresh your recollection that it could have been a little bit, somewhere between 9:30 and 10?
I go more with 9:30, give or take 5 minutes, because it could have been 9:20.
Okay,
It
but,
could have been 9:25.
But-
It could have been 9:35, but I go with 9:30.
okay. And did you see any police officers?
No,
Okay. Did you ever hear any police officers?
no.
Okay. So let's go back to this 116 for a second. And you said that you saw a lot of wine right outside of
Wait a
Penthouse.
second, it's line 115?
Sorry. The exhibit that's in front of you on the screen.
Oh.
So you go by Penthouse, now I have to hurry up to make my promise to Your Honor. So you see Penthouse 1 there, and you said that the wine was in that area, right?
It's in front of the door.
Okay,
It's a little, it's gonna be 1.5 feet, 2 feet up further north.
north, closer on the way to PH3?
No, it's right in front of the doorway. You have it past the doorway, the blue dot.
Yeah,
It's,
that wasn't intentional.
it's just
I can
in
do that.
front of that doorway.
There we go, okay. Can you put the dot exactly where it was? Okay,
Can I move that dot?
and how much wine was there?
It's a puddle
It was a puddle.
of wine.
Could you walk past it without seeing it?
No.
It was, and could you tell a little bit about how much probably had been spilled of the wine? I mean, were we talking like a half a bottle?
Looked like, a couple of glasses of wine, making a puddle.
Okay,
Wasn't like a full bottle.
Okay.
That's a bit more.
okay, thank you. Your Honor, I do have another exhibit I need to put in, and
Okay.
I think that might take a little bit longer than a couple of minutes.
Well,
So-
how much time were you talking?
Well, I can do it as fast as I can.
You
but-
can try.
Okay,
good.
then can we Heather, can you pick up, well, it's going to be Plaintiff's Exhibit 548. Now, do you have a recollection of Mr. Depp having a volatile relationship with his earlier partner, Vanessa Paradis?
No, but then again, I wasn't, I met her a couple of times. Our paths weren't crossing at that particular time when they were together.
All right, do you recall Mr. Depp ever referring to a circumstance with her as carnage?
What's the relevance? Or?
We're talking, he's trying to give character testimony here, and I'll tell you what, I'll move to a different
Okay,
one.
all right.
Now, you said that Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard were, you said that they were always nice to each other?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember Mr. Depp referring to Amber with the term cunt?
Like to her face?
No, to you. Calling her a cunt to you.
Maybe in a text.
All right. Did he do it more than once in a text?
I would have no recollection of that. I mean, he's called me a cunt in a text. So, I mean, it could be. I don't know how many texts. If there's something specific, if you could show me a text, that would be a different story. But I don't. You know, we've had many texts together, many you know.
Okay, let's go to line 57 then, it would be section 57 of the exhibit that I have in front of me. Now this is a text message between you and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
Well, there's 80 million texts on
If you
there.
go down to 50, go to the one that's number 57.
57 from.
Objection, Your Honor.
This is from me to him?
I'm sorry.
May I approach?
Okay, sure.
Are you on 57 yet?
57.
Right. And this is to you, correct, from Mr. Depp?
Is that how it's, it says from to 323-445-2400. That used to be my telephone number, so.
That's to, correct?
Oh, okay, I understand,
right.
Yes.
All right. And
That's to me.
all right, and the message he's sending to you, and this is October 18, 2016, is hopefully that comes.
Objection, Your Honor. Exhibit's not in evidence, and she's reading directly from it into the record.
All right.
All right, does this refresh your recollection that Mr. Depp referred to Amber Heard as a cunt, and in fact, cunt's rotting corpse is decomposing?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain the objection if you could rephrase.
I'll ask it differently. Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he, in base terms, hoped that Amber's rotting corpse is decomposing
Objection,
in
Your
the
Honor.
trunk of a Honda Civic?
I'll allow it.
I'm not understanding the question. Say it again?
Do you recall Mr. Depp ever telling you that he hoped that Amber Heard's rotting corpse is decomposing in the fucking trunk of a Honda Civic?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You can answer the question, sir.
Yeah, I say yeah. I'm seeing it here, so obviously, yeah, it was said.
Okay.
It was written.
And then go to 59, please. And when you had to move out of the penthouse to go to Sweetser, do you recall Mr. Depp telling you that this was Amber's fault and referring to her as a cunt?
Can I read this
Yes,
thing
please.
first, so that
Yes,
way I
please.
see what's going on? So now, I've just read this, and I understand. I remember this exactly because this is the period of time. I'm moving, and that he's selling the apartments, and there's people who are coming over. I'm still living there, and it would have been better off if I moved out, so that way then the real estate people can look at it and not come in and look at the kind of paintings that I make and all that kind of crap.
But my question to you is, do you recall Mr. Depp calling Amber Heard a cunt and saying that it was her fault?
Well, it's written there, so yeah, I could see that.
Okay.
Well, I don't. That's not what he says. He says that cunt ruined such a fucking cool life we had for a while. I don't know. That's
And
not.
he says, I can't even look at the building anymore, correct?
Right. I can't even
Right.
look at the
And
building
he's selling
anymore.
it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to move the admission of those two limited. Excuse me one moment.
Objection, Your Honor. There are some, it's a significant exhibit. There's definitely some hearsay in there.
I think I'll reserve on that, on the entry of that, okay? And we can discuss it later time, okay? Are you done?
I don't know. My co-counsel said I should go with that.
Or, I'm not going to I'm reserving on whether, so are we done with cross?
Yes.
Okay, and redirect briefly? We're going to be done with this witness before lunch.
Okay.
There we go.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay.
Mr. Baruch, do you recall that Ms. Bredehoff was just asking you some questions about some text messages you received from Mr. Depp?
Yeah.
Do you recall when those text messages were sent?
No, I'd have to look at them again and look at the date.
Could you display it to the witness again, please?
And I believe we looked at lines 59. Excuse me, 57. Do you see the date of when you received that text message?
All right, hang on. October, November. It was the month before. It was the month before I moved out. Okay.
When was that text message sent?
It says 10/18/2016. That's October. I moved out the next month, so in November. So this is from October.
So was that message sent several months after Ms. Heard made claims against Mr. Depp of domestic violence?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow it.
Yes, of course. This is after this whole fiasco that she started.
And if we look at line 61,
What am I looking at? 6?
what's the date on that message?
It's 10/28, October.
We can take that down. Mr. Baruch, Ms. Bredehoff asked you a series of questions about the security video from the Eastern Columbia building that you observed. Do you recall that?
Yeah, the PAL.
When did you understand that footage was from?
Objection, Your Honor. I already asked and answered. You said you didn't recall.
I'll sustain it, asked and answered.
Did you have an understanding at the time that you saw that video of when it was from?
Objection, Your Honor. Same question.
I'll sustain the objection.
Ms. Bredehoff also asked you a series of questions about the argument that you overheard between Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp on the phone. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you could hear Ms. Heard's voice on that phone, right?
Yeah.
Do you recall if that was a FaceTime call or if it was just regular speakerphone?
Just this speakerphone.
And What did you understand her tone to be on that call that you overheard?
Your Honor, what would you understand her tone?
I'll allow it if you can answer. It's fine.
Taunting, egging on, almost demeanoring the baby talk.
I would object, Your Honor, and move to strike.
Yeah, I'll sustain the objection as to his answer, and I'll strike it.
The whole answer, Your Honor?
The answer, yes.
I believe you testified that Mr. Depp hung up the phone during that conversation. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you understand that Mr. Depp was trying to end the argument by hanging up the phone?
His understanding of what Mr. Depp was trying to do.
All right, I'll sustain. As to past speculation.
Your Honor, he heard the phone call and he was there to directly
But
observe.
what Johnny Depp's intention was, I'll sustain his objection.
I know what my intent.
Sir,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay, thank you. Wait for the question. Thank you, sir.
What was your understanding of your intent with respect to hanging up the phone on that
Objection, Your Honor.
conversation?
He already asked and answered when he said he hung it up, and so.
It was asked and answered. I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness subject to recall?
Possibly, Your Honor.
There's a silence. Okay, so yes or no, or not for you, not from you?
Yes,
All right.
yes, for us.
All right, sir, since you're subject to recall, that means that you may be called again to testify at some point. So that means until that time, the rule on witnesses still is in place for you, so you cannot have any outside information or talk to anybody about your testimony here today, and don't look at any information about this on the news, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. You're free to go at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our afternoon lunch. We'll give you till 2:30 to take care of lunch. Again, no outside information, and please don't discuss this case, okay? All right, thank you. Have a good lunch. All right, so we'll come back at 2:30 then? Is that correct? All right, thank you.